It was just past midnight when the knock came. Soft at first, hesitant, like whoever was on the other side wasn't sure if they even wanted to be heard. Ethan looked up from his desk, the glow of his laptop lighting his tired face. He rubbed his eyes and walked to the door. Opening it, he found Jaden, the freshman kid who sometimes lingered after class with too many questions and too long glances. 18, confident in a way only someone young and curious could be, with messy blonde hair and a hoodie hanging off one shoulder. "Hey," Jaden said, shifting awkwardly. "I left my dorm key inside, and my roommates passed out or something. I was just walking around and saw your light on." Ethan blinked, confused. "You don't have anyone else you could?" Jaden gave a crooked smile. "Didn't think you'd mind." There was something in his tone, casual but deliberate. Ethan hesitated, then stepped aside. "Come in, just for a bit." Jaden entered slowly, taking in the room. It was clean but sparse. Books, a coffee mug, and paper scattered over the desk. The bed neatly made. The silence settled as Ethan closed the door behind him. "You're always working," Jaden said, dropping into the armchair like he owned it. "Even this late?" "Grad life," Ethan replied, forcing a laugh. "Lesson plans and grading never end." Jaden tilted his head. "Don't you ever get lonely here?" That hit harder than Ethan expected. He turned back toward the desk, pretending to shuffle some papers. "I have my boyfriend," he said. "Long distance." Jaden made a soft sound. "That sounds rough." "It is." The silence grew again. Jaden stood and walked slowly around the room. His fingers grazing the edges of books, frames, surfaces. There was no fear in him, no awkwardness like most freshmen. Just curiosity. "Can I ask you something?" Jaden said, stopping in front of Ethan. "Sure. Have you ever felt like you needed someone, not just to talk to, but to be seen by? Really seen?" Ethan froze. The question felt too close, too intimate. Jaden stepped a little closer. "Because sometimes I feel invisible here, like I'm just noise to most people." Ethan met his eyes. They were softer than usual, vulnerable, even. "I know what that feels like," he said quietly. Jaden smiled, not cocky, not flirtatious, just warm. Then, without a word, he pulled off his hoodie, revealing a white tank top that clung to his lean frame. "Is it okay if I lie down for a bit? Just tired." Ethan's throat went dry. "Yeah, sure." Jaden climbed onto the bed, settling in like he'd done it 100 times. Ethan stayed across the room, pretending to read a folder, but his eyes kept drifting. Jaden's shirt had ridden up slightly, exposing a strip of skin. He looked peaceful, young, and dangerous. "You don't have to stand all the way over there," Jaden murmured. Ethan didn't move. "I'm not trying to be inappropriate," Jaden continued. "I just feel safe here." Ethan turned slowly. "Jaden, I don't think this is a good idea." Jaden sat up, his expression unreadable. "Why not?" "Because I have someone, and you're my student." Jaden laughed softly. "I'm not in your class anymore. And you didn't seem to mind when I was asking personal questions last week." Ethan's defenses cracked. He remembered the way Jaden had lingered after office hours, the way he had smiled, biting his lip just slightly, pretending to ask about literature, while clearly reading something else in Ethan's eyes. "You know what this is," Ethan said, voice low. "I know I feel better here than I have since I got to this school," Jaden replied. "And I think maybe you feel the same." Silence again. Then, the whisper that would change everything. "You don't have to be lonely tonight." Ethan's breath caught. He walked toward the bed slowly, each step louder than the last. Jaden watched him, expression unreadable, but his chest rose and fell with anticipation. Ethan sat down at the edge. Everything inside him screamed to get up, to stop this, to remember who he was. But Jaden was already reaching for his hand. Ethan's hand rested in Jaden's for a moment, still and uncertain. It was soft, warm, and trembling. The weight of the moment crushed every logical thought in his head. Yet something in him refused to pull away. Jaden didn't speak. He simply looked at Ethan with quiet patience, like he was offering comfort instead of temptation. Ethan finally whispered, This can't happen. Jaden's reply came just as softly. But it already is. There was no sudden move, no rush of passion. Only a slow, tentative lean forward. Jaden's lips brushed Ethan's, light as a breath. Ethan didn't respond right away, frozen by the war inside him. But when Jaden pulled back slightly, about to apologize, Ethan leaned in again, this time with certainty. Their kiss deepened, slow but charged. Ethan hated how good it felt, how natural. Every second of it screamed betrayal. But his body ignored the guilt. The silence between them was replaced with soft breaths, the gentle rustling of sheets, and the tension unraveling one layer at a time. When Jaden moved closer, wrapping an arm around Ethan's waist, Ethan whispered, "I haven't done this in years, not like this." Jaden rested his forehead against Ethan's, then stopped thinking so much. That was a final crack. The resistance collapsed. Ethan gave in. The night unfolded in blurred fragments. Skin against skin, the raw hunger of suppressed desire, the kind of closeness Ethan hadn't felt in what seemed like a lifetime. He didn't think of his boyfriend, Liam. Not during the touches, not during the breathless gasps or the moments when Jaden looked at him like he was the only man on earth. But after it was different. Jaden lay curled against him under the sheets, eyes closed, breathing steady. Ethan stared at the ceiling, a tightness growing in his chest. The way of the room changed. The silence no longer felt comforting. It felt suffocating. "What did we just do?" he finally whispered, more to himself than to Jaden. Jaden turned his head lazily. "Something honest." Ethan looked at him sharply. "Honest? Jaden, I have a boyfriend. I just cheated on him." Jaden sat up slowly, pulling the blanket around his waist. His voice was calm but firm. "And why do you think you let it happen?" "I don't know. I was lonely, vulnerable. You were there." Jaden's face fell slightly. "So I'm just a moment of weakness?" Ethan winced. "I didn't mean it like that." Jaden nodded, glancing toward the window where the first sliver of dawn was creeping through the blinds. "You don't need to explain, Ethan. I knew what this was. I just hoped maybe it could be more." Ethan sat up, burying his face in his hands. This was a mistake. Jaden's voice was quiet but sharp. "It didn't feel like a mistake when you were holding me." That silenced Ethan. After a few moments, Jaden stood and slowly began dressing. He didn't rush. He didn't cry. But his shoulders were tense and his movements less fluid than usual. "Are you going to tell him?" Jaden asked, buttoning his jeans. Ethan didn't answer. Jaden grabbed his hoodie from the chair and pulled it on. "I'm not going to say anything. I'm not trying to ruin your life." Ethan looked at him finally, guilt etched into every line of his face. "Jaden, I didn't mean to hurt you." Jaden gave a sad smile. "You didn't. You just reminded me what I shouldn't want." He walked to the door, hesitated, then turned. "I meant it, by the way," he said. "Last night meant more to me than you think." The door closed behind him with a soft click. Ethan sat on the edge of the bed, the sheets still warm, his heart cold. He stared at his phone on the nightstand. There were 2 missed calls from Liam, and a message. "I miss you. Call me when you wake up." Ethan sat frozen, phone still in his hand, staring at the message from Liam. "I miss you. Call me when you wake up." The words felt like needles. Kind, trusting, completely unaware of what Ethan had done just hours before. He wanted to reply. He wanted to call. But what would he even say? Instead, he threw the phone onto the bed and walked to the sink, splashing cold water on his face. He avoided his reflection in the mirror. He couldn't stand the sight of himself, not yet. Days passed. He buried himself in work, skipped his usual walks across campus, and avoided any place he might see Jaden. Guilt clung to him like a second skin. Every time his phone buzzed, his heart sank, expecting either Liam's voice or Jaden's presence to come crashing through his fragile silence. Then, late one evening, Liam finally called. Ethan hesitated, then picked up. "Hey," he said, voice dry. "You've been quiet," Liam said gently. "Everything okay?" Ethan swallowed hard. "Yeah, just busy with classes." There was a pause. "Ethan, someone told me they saw you with a student. In your room. Late at night. Ethan's blood ran cold. Who told you that? He asked quickly. It doesn't matter, Liam replied. I just want the truth. Silence. Ethan looked down, finger in the corner of the bedsheet, the same one Jaden had slept on. I don't know what to say, Ethan whispered. That's not a denial, Liam said quietly. Ethan's voice cracked. It wasn't supposed to happen. He stopped himself, chest tightening. It was a mistake. Another long silence. Liam didn't raise his voice. I just needed to hear from you. I'm sorry, Ethan said, tears stinging the back of his eyes. I messed up. I'm flying down next week, Liam replied after a pause. We'll talk in person. The line went dead. Ethan sat in the quiet hum of his room, the weight of what he'd done finally crashing down. It wasn't just about cheating. It was about who he had become when no one was looking. That same night, he received an email from an anonymous blog account titled, Confessions from the Dorm Room. The newest entry read, They say older men know better, but sometimes they just hide their mistakes deeper. I thought maybe I was special to him. Turns out I was just a pause in his routine. But I still remember the way he looked at me like he wanted something real, even if it was a lie. Ethan knew exactly who had written it. The words weren't angry. They weren't vengeful. They were just sad. And that hurt even more. The next day, Jaden showed up outside Ethan's building. No knock this time. Just a silent figure waiting beneath the street lamp as Ethan returned from class. Their eyes met. Jaden spoke first. I thought we should talk. Ethan nodded and led him inside. They sat across from each other, no longer sharing the warmth or closeness from that night. Just distance. You wrote about me, Ethan said softly. Jaden didn't deny it. I didn't name you. No one knows. Ethan rubbed his face. Why did you come back? Jaden looked down. Because I needed to hear you say it meant nothing. Ethan's voice was hollow. It wasn't nothing, but it shouldn't have happened. Jaden exhaled. Yeah, I figured. They sat in silence for a moment before Jaden stood. I don't hate you, he said, but I don't think I can look at you again without remembering that night. Ethan nodded. I understand. Jaden walked to the door, paused, then turned one last time. For what it's worth, you looked like you needed saving. I just thought maybe I could help. Then he was gone. The following week, Liam arrived. They sat face to face in that same room, where so much had unraveled. Ethan confessed everything. Every word. Every action. Liam listened quietly. He didn't shout. He didn't cry. He just said, I loved you. And that was what broke Ethan completely. Not the betrayal. Not the guilt. But the simple, honest heartbreak in those 4 words. That night, Ethan lay in his bed, alone again. The silence had returned. This time it was empty, not peaceful, not warm, just cold. He stared at the ceiling, haunted not by what had happened, but by who he had let himself become. Some nights change everything, and some mistakes, no matter how quiet, echo forever.